So this is 1.5.2 utility software. So utility software designed to do one or two tasks, helps to maintain the system, normally interacting with the hardware. There are many built into the operating system. And the ones we're going to look at are encryption, defragmentation, data compression, and backup software. So let's have a look at encryption. So encryption is the act of scrambling data so that unless you have the appropriate key given to you, you cannot read the data. So the idea is that you use a key and then a special key and then you decrypt it with a different key. Okay, so data is encrypted so it's unreadable even if you intercept/steal it, unless of course they go through some sort of hacking brute force attack. The issues of encryption, the negative side to it, obviously there's some effort in, I should have put that down there, and time to encrypt and decrypt. I mean, it's not going to be massive on a computer, but it does still add some time to it. But the issue can be is if people lose the key, then the data's possibly lost forever, or at least it's going to be difficult to get back. Okay, so that's encryption. I'm going to whip through these because they're quite easy. Right, defragmentation software. When you get a new secondary storage, but we only worry about this with hard disk drives. Basically, you get a blank slate and files would go on like this. But in reality, what happens is after files are deleted, there's gaps. So in a while, all your data is spread out over the hard disk. So here, the yellow file is all over the place. And so this is because the data takes, physically the head's got to move to these different places because it's a physical device, a hard disk drive. It takes a lot longer to load that than it would to load that. Okay, and defragmentation software turns it from this into this, where it's nice together. You're not required to do defragmentation on a solid state drive because a solid state drive has no understanding of the concept of things being next to each other as important. So for example, collecting data from there, and then there and there is exactly the same amount of time as there. So even though data theoretically gets fragmented on a secondary a solid state drive, it doesn't make a difference because being next to each other doesn't make any difference because there's no moving parts. So data compression, nice easy one. Reducing the size of a file by performing an algorithm on the original data. So file is smaller. I should have put this on there, but I'll do it together. But it does take processing power to uncompress it. So there you go. So it's not all I'll put to be uncompressed. So it's not all rosy. You do have smaller files, hopefully, but it does take some processing power to be uncompressed. But that's not a big loss. There are two types, lossless and lossy. With a lossless file, if you compress it and then uncompress it, you have exactly the same file you had before. With a lossy file, you compress it, you uncompress it, and you have lost some of the accuracy. Some of the numbers are different, basically. They might be close to the original, but they're different. So lossless is used for executable files, Word documents, anything where you can't afford loss of data, but mostly anything that's not a picture or a video or a song. And lossy is used on multimedia, film, audio, pictures, basically. So last but not least is backup. Why do you do a backup? Well, in case of computer failure, software, hard disk drives failing, solid state drives failing, they could be stolen or damaged, but in a fire is a common one, natural disaster, if you're in a different country, you don't get many over here, but in America you get quite a lot of, and other countries, earthquakes. But yeah, so there are two types of backups that we're looking at, full and incremental, which I've left as full, so I'll just change that. So incremental is, full is just you take a copy of everything on the disk and you take that disk somewhere else. It could be onto an external hard disk, could be onto a data tape, could be onto something else. Wherever it is, you take a whole copy of everything and you leave that thing somewhere else, normally away from the office, or you put it in some sort of fireproof, super safe. It takes a long time because you're copying everything. And it can take a fair old time to get the data back. Incremental is you take a full backup once, and then every night you have a look and see what's changed from the day before. This is a much more sensible system in general because you don't have as big files. Think about every backup you do here is all your data. Every backup here is only have to back up the stuff that's changed since day one. So let's say you've got 10 gig of data, that's 70 gig a week. That might only be 73 gig in a week because you only did 3 gig of changes in a week. But yeah, so it's much faster complete because obviously it only has to back up the changes. But it does take much longer to restore the data because you have to restore all of the increments in order. So let's say you did one Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to Saturday. You would have to restore the full backup, which so you're already taking at least as amount of time as this one. And then you've got to restore the changes of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Now, it might not be as a lot of changes, but you never know. Some companies might change a lot. Who knows? So that's the different backup methods. And there you go. That's 1.5.2.